So, this was the game that was made Game of the Year. Yeah, I'm not quite so sure about that. Yo, what is up guys, it's Tyrant Swine here and welcome to another game review. And this time, I am reviewing Overwatch, an MMO made by Blizzard Entertainment that took the world by storm. Now, the plot of the game is that it is set 60 years in the future of a fictional Earth, and an event known as the Omnic Crisis happened, and a group of people who had special powers was created in the name of Overwatch, and they were used to stop the Omnic Crisis. But once that ended, the people of Earth saw these group of people more as criminals than heroes. But as things start getting a bit more dangerous again, these people are needed once more to protect the planet. Now, this is a pretty cool plot, but this game is an MMO, so it doesn't have a campaign, which kind of hurts this game a little bit. But nonetheless, I'd say this game overall, if you're looking for a decent MMO, this is probably one of your best bets. Now, what this game has, even though it doesn't have a campaign, and since it's MMO oriented, it means that to survive, well, to make sure that the game lasts a long time, it needs to have a lot of content, and this game fulfills that mostly. Now, let's begin with the characters. Now, there is a lot of characters in this game. There's about 21 characters to pick from when the game was released. Obviously, after updates over time, newer characters have been introduced. But I like the characters in this game, even though they don't really say a lot of things. They seem to have their own individual personality, and they seem to be that sort of... They seem to be really cliched, but in a really good way, and it's really funny to acknowledge that. Each of them are pretty well designed too. They all look very cool, and I really do like the character design in this game, along with their cartoonish type style as well. So it's a game that you don't really have to take very seriously. You can just look at this game and have a few laughs at it, especially from the way the characters look. But I like how each of the characters have their own specific powers. Each of them have their own specific powers, so there's a lot of replayability with each of these characters since each of their powers is different. But their powers really balance out the game, since some powers are weaker than other powers of other characters. So it's like one character's power can be more powerful than another character's power, but then they have a power which kind of screws over their power. So it's like the balancing of the game and the characters is done particularly well, and this game relies more on skill and teamwork for you to win a match. And that's another good thing about this game, since it's not just going around killing people as much as you can. This is more about working together. The characters also have a wide variety of customization too, although I feel like it's a bit lacking in some areas, the customization, but it's okay, especially since more customization has been introduced from updates over time. But at first the customization in this game seemed pretty bland, but now it seems to be okay, and it can be unlocked through battle packs, which is by leveling up, or until they were made as microtransactions, which kind of sucked. But the customization, there's not just skins, there's also emotes, victory poses, quotes. I think I've already said that. So yeah, there's quite a nice variety of customization, since there isn't just colors, there's also a few other things. So I'd say the characters overall in Overwatch, I think, have been done particularly well. Now, let's talk about some of the game modes and the maps. Now, when this game released, to be fair, there wasn't a lot of game modes. There was a lot of maps in the game, which is a good thing, but there wasn't a lot of game modes. From what I can remember, there was only two specific types of game modes. One where you have to get to where you either attack an objective and escort it to the end of the map, while another team defends against it. This was a pretty fun game mode. This is a pretty fun game mode because this is one that really does rely on teamwork and skill. And then the other game mode is where you need to capture objective type areas, a bit like King of the Hill. But these are the only two type of game modes I believe that standard in the game, and that's not a lot when you think about it. Yes, there's also an area of the game where you can fight against AI opponents, which is a good area for where you want, if you want to learn how each of these characters work, what their weaknesses and what their strengths are. So that's pretty decent, and you can even up the difficulty of the AI for a bit of a challenge. And but honestly, the game modes was pretty lacking at first. I mean, yes, from the updates, there were new game modes added in over time, but for default game modes, there wasn't really a lot, but they were fun to play, and you can get a lot of enjoyment out of them. So, but a lack of game modes really just didn't help this game, even despite how fun they were. But what there was a lot of this in this game was maps. There was a lot of maps in this game, and each of these maps are set in a different part of the world, and I really like that, and they all look really colourful, really well designed. There's a lot of areas for specific characters. They can jump around and stuff depending on their powers, like Widowmaker has a grappling hook and Mercy has her wings, and yeah, so the level designs have been made particularly well for the powers of the characters in the game, and there's a lot of areas where you can flank, where you can snipe from, and other things. So the levels of the game have been particularly done well. The game modes, if there were more to begin with, then it would have been really a decent amount of game modes for people to play in. But since this game is about teamwork and skill, I'm guessing there wasn't that many game modes they could think of that required this specification. So yeah, I think the levels were done particularly well. It's just that this game had a bit of a lacking of game modes, and that kind of did suck a little bit. Now, from what I missed before about talking about the characters is that they are split into different classes. Like you have your tank, your defense, your healer, and your soldier. And so there's only 4 classes to pick from, but there is a nice, decent variety to choose from in each of these classes. Like for example, you have Bastion in your defense, who is pretty overpowered, Diva for your tank, who is in a giant mech, Tracer, who is a telepative shifting type soldier, and then you have Mercy, who is a healer. Those are the more specific ones I can remember from each of the classes. But not only do they have, each of them have their own powers, but they also have their own special power which takes time to charge up. And these, if you use them properly, can be used for such devastating effect, and it can basically decimate an entire squad, and can even turn around an entire match. Luckily, which is a good thing, these powers take time to recharge. They don't take that long to recharge. I'd say they take about 30 seconds at most, maybe 45 seconds, depends on how much you use it. And so yeah, overall I'd say they split the classes up very nicely. And so yeah, once you finish, and also when you finish again, you can even depending on who did the best in the game, you can even like any of the players who did a good job in the game to show a little bit of support or something like that. So this game does really concentrate a lot on the MMO aspect. Now, what I want to say also is that despite this game is an MMO, I really feel like this game could have benefited a lot more if it did have a campaign. I mean, imagine how cool it would be to have a campaign with these characters. It would just be really funny. It'd be like just a really nice comedic type video game that you can just have a lot of fun with and just have a few laughs. But sadly they didn't do that, and I feel like that kind of hurts this game a little bit. So overall I'd say Overwatch, if you're looking for a good MMO type game, this is definitely your best bet. And it also has fun characters to help with that, and it also has fun game modes. But if you're looking for a campaign, you're gonna have to look elsewhere. So overall, I'm gonna give this game an 8 out of 10. So, that is my review on Overwatch. A surprisingly decent MMO game, but without a campaign that it could have benefited from. It could have actually earned that Game of the Year award. So, hope you guys have enjoyed this game review. Leave a like, subscribe, comment down below of what you think of the game, and I shall see you guys in the next random video.